Morning. How you doing?
Morning, sir. I'm doing pretty good.
Doing good. You got a big day today, huh?
Yes, sir. We got a new build actually in.
Sure, that's gonna be fun. That Porsche is so nice.
Oh yeah, and I was just watching my brother's channel, and they're actually working on a Porsche too. They got a Porsche. I think it's a Cayenne. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Don't come at me in the comments about how to say Cayenne or Cayenne or.
I mean, that doesn't seem like there's a lot of image on that Porsche, so it's gonna be probably a quick little build for you.
Oh yeah, just a quick little car to, because we are still waiting on some parts from the Mustang, and Cortex Racing actually sent me this nice little hoodie, so it's keeping us nice and warm this cold morning. Yeah, so before we check out the Porsche, let's go ahead and check out the Mustang, because I was getting a lot of hate comments in the previous video about what's going on with the firewall. So we actually went ahead and dropped the motor in just to give it a little test fit. Everything is just fitting up so nice. Look how tiny the engine looks inside the engine bay now that the fenders are on. So it looks really tiny now.
People are talking about this as like they think this is like some kind of thin metal.
Yeah, guys, you have to understand this is not 18. I'm pretty sure this is like 18 gauge, and we used 14 gauge. Come here, I'll show you. This is the stuff that we used for the firewall. So it is a lot thicker than the original factory firewall was. And I don't even know if you can bead roll this stuff. It's a lot thicker. And the fact that it's gonna be all welded up through here and it's actually welded to the frame rail, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be 1,000 times stronger than the factory old flimsy firewall that we had on there. And there's also gonna be bracing inside. Once we like start working on the pedal setup and how everything's gonna be set up in there, we'll add some bracing here and there just to make everything nice and strong. And we kind of just threw the engine in here just to see how it lines up, and man, it's looking good. Hey guys, don't worry, just watch the videos. As you guys know, we're in this new shop. We have a lot more time to work on the car. It's a better environment. You know, we're moving along fast on this car, which I'm pretty impressed myself with how everything is going. So hopefully by the end of February, we're gonna have this thing on all four wheels driving around. So enough talking about the Mustang, let's go check out the sick new Porsche. So guys, check it out. It's a 2015 Porsche Panamera GTS, and I'm actually rebuilding this thing for a good friend of mine. As you guys probably seen in the previous episodes, every time we needed a truck and trailer, he was always there for me. He always let me borrow it from the time I actually got my Hellcat. I've been using his truck and trailer. He always hooks me up. So now we're gonna hook him up by rebuilding this 2015 Porsche Panamera. This thing's actually freaking sick as heck. Like, I remember I did work on a Porsche back in the day. I think it was a Porsche Boxer, but that was an older one. Or no, it was a Porsche 911. I think it was hitting the front. I actually replaced the entire frame cradle. But I think that was like 3 to 4 years ago. And man, I absolutely love these things just by being around this car for a couple of days and just looking all over it. And these things are actually pretty sick, and they're not too expensive. Like, this car used to actually cost $140,000, I think is the sticker price on this thing. And I'm not too sure how much he picked it up for. I'll probably give him a call and let you guys know later in the video. But let's do a little walk around and see exactly what's wrong with this car. So we're gonna start off with the front of this car. The cool thing about this thing is it is not wrecked in the front. It's actually wrecked in the back. And man, check out how big this car actually looks. A lot bigger in person than it does on pictures. You got these giant, big old headlights right here. Cool thing is, all factory, all OEM in the front. We don't have to mess with no sensors, anything like that, because on these German cars, these sensors do get expensive, especially like going to the dealership just to order one little module or something. It's like $500-$600, and that stuff adds up pretty quick. But the front is perfectly intact. Let's go ahead and pop the engine and show you guys this engine, because this is the V8, because it is the GTS model. I know they come with a twin turbo one, and then they come with the V6 one. This is a V8. So let's go ahead and pop the hood and see what we got working under here. Bam, let's go ahead and see what we have in here. A little V8. Dang, check out that engine. That thing is pretty massive, but I don't know if I think a Coyote 5.0 is a bit bigger than that thing. It's direct fuel injected. And I'm really curious if this is all factory original up here, so we're just gonna do a little bit of checking, see if anything's been moved or anything is damaged up here, because you never know, especially with these higher end cars. Sometimes, you know, people that can't afford them, they'll buy them, and once they get in an accident, they can't really afford to fix them, so they take it to lower end shops to get a better deal on it. But this thing looks pretty good. All the original stuff looks like it's here. As you can see, this bolt looks like it was moved right here, so that means maybe something was going on here and they did a little bit of maintenance on it. But everything else looks good. No sketchy funny business under here, which is really good, because you know these things get pricey whenever you have to change stuff on it. But the front end looks good. The motor looks pretty clean, especially for 90,000 miles. This car is really clean under here. So the entire front end basically looks OEM underneath. Couldn't find any sort of damage under there. But man, the coolest thing about Porsches is their brakes. Check out these massive brake calipers on this Porsche. That's kind of like what I love about most cars. Like, the first thing I look at is the brake calipers, and Porsche always just seems to kill it with their large ones in the front. That's a pretty big rotor. These are like triple the size of the ones on my McLaren, but I guess my McLaren doesn't probably weigh like 6,000 pounds like this thing does. So let's go ahead and check out the interior of this car. It's an absolute beauty. This thing has 90,000 miles, but honestly, it looks like it has freaking 20,000. I guess somebody took care of it really good. And one of the weird thing about Porsches is, like, it does have a smart key, but it also has this right here. This is like, I thought it was a key at first, but this is actually how you start the car up. So you can see everything turns on. But dude, I definitely love the interior on these things. It does also have, I think this is carbon fiber. Yeah, this is all carbon fiber here. And then it has the carbon fiber Porsche Panamera GTS down there. So it's definitely a cool package. Another cool thing about this car is it does still have like the digital, or not the digital, the instrument cluster that's not all fully digital, which is kind of cool. And then we have our GPS right here, which I've never actually seen that on a car before except a Porsche, which is freaking awesome. And then we have all our other cool stuff in here. Steering wheel is also cool because it has no buttons on it, but it just has a little light up. So if you turn on the Sport Plus, it lights up right there, which is pretty cool. Kind of does remind me of my McLaren with no buttons on the steering wheel. We got our nice little paddle shifters right here. A little unit right here, a little head unit. It's not the biggest, but honestly, you don't really need anything bigger than that. I definitely love the layout of these buttons in this car though. Like, everything's just on the side right here. You have your passenger stuff, driver stuff. And guys, it does have Alcantara throughout the entire car, which is freaking awesome. Alcantara is probably some of the coolest material in the car. We'll give it a little start up a little bit later, show you guys how cool this thing sounds. But let's get to the main important problem with this car, is the damages in the rear. And so what happened was, I guess this guy was driving on the highway and it was raining. He did have some really bald tires, and he actually lost control and slid into a fence. As you can see, there's a little bit of damage right here. It just pushed this bracket in right there. This is like the less damaged side, and I'm pretty sure this is all aluminum. And then once we come over to the passenger side, it is a little bit worse. Check this out. It absolutely just toasted everything, busted this sensor right here and the bracket, kind of just crunched everything in. And look at that, check that out. I guess it was sliding and it just ate right through all that aluminum, which kind of sucks that this is all aluminum. Aluminum is a little bit harder to work with the fact that it doesn't really like to be bent back into place. Like on here, we'll probably have to heat it a lot, push it, heat it, because it usually just loves to crack. And I don't see why they used aluminum here. And then you can see right here, these are the rivets, because these panels are all steel, which we are in luck, because there's a little bit of damage right here, which isn't too bad. That can be pushed out. But the main concern of mine is the roof. The roof is pretty jacked up. You can see there's one big old scratch right here and one long scratch going all the way across. A little bit of damage, so it's gonna need a little bit of body work. But honestly guys, it's nothing that we can't take care of over here at the vTuned garage. And I really do love doing little builds like this, because it doesn't really take too long, and it just gives you the satisfaction of completing another build. Like the Mustang is gonna take some time, which we're seeing results already, but we haven't seen like a fully completed car yet. And this is gonna be a perfect little build that's gonna be like in between it, because I want to knock this thing out pretty quick for him, just to get it out of here. He did already replace the deck lid, because the deck lid was damaged a little bit right here, and then the rear glass was busted. And it turns out it was better just to buy an entire deck lid than just to find a glass. And the spoiler actually comes out. I think it has like little hinges, and it like folds. This area goes in and then it goes down. But check this out. This is how we open it. Check that out. And he already hooked us up with all the parts for the build. We got two tail lights right here, and he did sand this thing down. It is going to need a little bit of clear coat. I guess it was a fogged up tail light, because these things I think range from like 2012 all the way to 2016 on the tail light. And then most of the stuff is already taken apart back here, which is nice. And we will have to do a little bit more removing, because we need to get these side panels off, get them out, so then we can access the damaged parts. But we pretty much have everything to build this car pretty fast, which is good. We have like the rear bumper. We also have a new rebar, which you can see this one's a little bit damaged right there. It's all aluminum, so the best way to do that is just to replace it. So we have that, and then we got the new exhaust tips and a new exhaust. Check that out. That looks pretty nice. This one took a little bit of a beating, and it does have the active exhaust. Man, check out that rust on here. I think this car did come from Ohio, so it is a little bit rusty under there. Hopefully, like, the undercarriage isn't too rusty. So guys, before we dive into this thing, what I really first want to do is give it a nice wash, because it is kind of dirty, and I want to wash off all the damaged area just so we can see some of where all the dents are, so we can pinpoint everything and go ahead and pull it in the shop after that and start digging into it. So let's go ahead and give this thing a little crank and show you guys what this V8 sounds like.
Dude, that thing sounds clean.
Dude, it sounds so freaking good, dude. And look how fast this thing revs all the way to the red line. This thing is a beast.
Oh, legit, this is probably mad quick. What's the 0 to 60 on this thing?
I'm not sure. It might be a little bit less, because I think it has like 480 horsepower or something like that.
Oh,
Definitely we'll have to look into it.
Heck yeah.
And I bet this thing would sound super awesome with the custom exhaust. But let's go ahead and pull this thing up and give it a nice wash.
Shoot, that thing sounds crazy.
I can see this being my new daily driver one day.
This thing has that luxury look and everything,
No,
man.
I love the interior, especially all the carbon fiber, and then you got the Alcantara.
Oh yeah.
So we got the Porsche out here, and honestly, I'm loving that we have this little area on the side of the shop to wash cars and stuff. I think we might need to actually cut these lugs off. There used to be a 4-post lift out here, but it's just nice because now we don't have to wash cars in the gravel. And we did also bring our Mustang out here too. It's kind of just chilling. It's just gonna vibe out there for maybe centuries. So maybe somebody in 20 years will buy it. But let's go ahead and grab all the cleaning solution. We'll go ahead and give it a nice wash. Go ahead and take off all this stuff off the window, and then we can wash all this off and get it nice and clean. So we got this brand new sponge. You know we gotta use brand new stuff on a Porsche. I don't know why they put a big old V on it. Maybe V for vTuned? right, she's looking nice and clean. So guys, we gave the entire Porsche a nice wash, and guys, don't get mad at my detailing supplies. We don't have much yet. We still need to buy a new cabinet, and then we'll fill it up with detailing stuff later. And we might be also getting a wall-mounted electric pressure washer, which will help out with washing everything. And when we were washing this car, at first I thought this hood was a bit dirty, but it turns out this hood has been repainted. As you can see, that chip right there, and you can see a little bit of clouds in it. That's why I thought it was just dirty at first. And once we wash it, you can still kind of, I don't know if the camera is really picking it up, but you can kind of see like clouds. And silver is a really difficult color to paint, especially like if it's cold or if it's too hot, it will get like cloudy. And I think the only thing that was repainted was the hood. I think the bumper and the fenders are all factory. And another good thing is the paint matched up really good, so that means that this paint isn't too hard to match. But I guess whoever sprayed it, they just didn't do that good of a job on it. So we're gonna go ahead and let this car dry up and then go ahead and pull it in the garage and probably go ahead and start tearing apart some of the stuff back there to get to all the damaged area. So we got the Porsche back inside, and now we're gonna go ahead and take a little deeper dive into how bad this damage actually is on the car. First thing I want to do is basically get everything out, get all the parts out that we have, and then we'll probably start digging into it. So here's all the parts that we had inside the car. These are the trim pieces because the airbags did blow in the roof. I'm pretty sure, hold on, let me make sure. Did they? The airbags didn't actually blow out, he just lowered the roof for us. So then whenever we go and try to fix the damage on the roof, we don't burn the headliner or anything like that. We have both tail lights. We have the heat shields right here, because as you know, these are completely destroyed. And I think the heat shield is built into the bumper bracket. Yeah, it is. That's pretty weird. They built the bracket into the heat shield. So we have that side. The only thing I need him to order is actually the bracket that holds this. This is a rear radar. I guess this is for blind spot monitoring, and it goes somewhere right here. So he's gonna have to order that new bracket, but that's pretty much everything. I mean, this car doesn't really need that much parts. The only thing damaged in the rear is just like the quarter panel a little bit right there, all this aluminum that we're gonna have to try to go ahead and push out. So guys, this damage down here is gonna be relatively simple. The only issue is this roof right here, and when it got dented, it really stretched it. But good thing is we did get a care package from Dent Fix Equipment, which we will be opening up in the next video. And it's basically a nice stud puller. It's a really cool unit, which I'll show you guys in the next episode of how we're gonna pull all this out. And that's why he lowered the roof, because he thought maybe I'd have to weld something onto here, but I don't think we will have to. We'll have to just somehow shrink the metal back into place, because once it did that, it kind of stretched it all out. And then if you basically just beat that back out with a hammer, you'd have a big old, like a big old lump. So we don't want to do that. We want to take all the necessary procedures. And the cool thing is all this is steel. It's kind of funny that they used aluminum down here, steel up here. It's German engineering at its finest. So the first things I actually want to start on this Porsche is going ahead, I want to get these taillights off right here so we can go ahead and get a better look at what's going on down here. And then we can probably take out this bottom, we can go ahead and take this thing out and take off these side panels so we can get into the damaged area so we can start pulling it out and fixing it. I think these might be the wrong taillights, boys. Okay, so the brackets are, no, they're actually the same. Okay, so this just goes over that. So we got both taillights off the car, and the passenger side is actually a lot worse. As you can see, all this is creased in here pretty good, and it even like pushed up this area right here. The driver's side, on the other hand, is just perfectly fine. All that's nice and flat, nothing's really damaged. All the damage is just this right here needs to be pushed out a little bit, and then right there needs to be pushed out. So that's good. That's good to know. So now what we need to start doing is basically ripping apart the rest of this interior. I want to get these side panels off so we can get in back here, because that's how we'll be like pushing it and pulling it. And I think there might be like some electronics back there. So let's go ahead and take off all these panels. So guys, we got all these rear panels off, and now we get a better look inside of what's actually going on. So the driver's side is actually not too bad. It's gonna just need to be pushed out just a little bit, not too bad. And I'm not sure, maybe we'll even have to take this thing to the frame machine, because I'm still not sure how this aluminum is gonna move around, because I know I've messed with aluminum in the past, and usually you have to heat it up, and it's difficult. But we do have an aluminum welder, so if we do have to weld anything, we got that taken care of. And bam, check that out. We took off this vent, all the brackets, and now all we're going to do is figure out a way to start pulling all this out. But I think that'll be in the next episode once we get our dent equipment, and we can go ahead and start working on the dents, go ahead and start pulling all this out, lining up the tail lights. And I do know we do need to adjust the tail light or the tailgate just a little bit, because the gaps are a little bit off. And hopefully the frame didn't really shift on this car, but I think it didn't, because all it was just a fence, and it kind of just, this aluminum just like crunches in. It's made to crunch, you know, because it's made to take the impact. So who knows, we'll see. And if you are wondering why it says turbo right here on the back, this lid is actually off a turbo, but it is the same model for the GTS. And we got this thing pretty much all prepped and ready to go. We had to actually call the owner of the car to get him to order this little vent right here. So he's gonna go ahead and get that ordered, and maybe even potentially the radar, because the radar is busted a little bit up right here in the back. And the main thing about these radars is when you are ordering a new radar, I know the dealer is probably like 600 bucks, but you can get these on eBay for relatively cheap, as long as you line up all the model numbers and everything. Most of the time it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. I know on the M5 we did have a little bit of issues, but we got it taken care of. And also I spoke to the guy who owns the car, and he actually said he paid $17,000 for this car, which isn't bad for a Porsche Panamera GTS. It's a pretty highly spec model, and this thing was like $130,000, $140,000 brand new, which is pretty crazy how fast these things appreciate. I mean, it's only been like 5 years, and it's already worth almost freaking a quarter of what it was. But I mean, it's gonna be a really fun rebuild. I don't think he's gonna have much in parts. I mean, he only had to buy taillights, a rear bumper, and a couple of brackets. So hopefully it costs him pretty cheap. And we're gonna give him a deal on the rebuild process. So guys, we're gonna try to knock this thing out as fast as possible. As you guys know, I am going to Colorado with the Goon Squad boys, so we'll take a little bit of a break there. And then once we come back, we're gonna knock this thing out as fast as possible. And then we're also gonna jump back on the Mustang once all of our suspension components come in. We can go ahead and get that thing on the ground and rolling around. And then we'll have to start worrying about like the cooling system. I do have a radiator, actually need to go pick it up. It's at the other shop. Once we get the cooling in there, we get the aprons built and get the engine maybe even running. I still have to look into wiring, because it is a little bit difficult to find out what kind of wiring harness I need. I might have to run like different alternators, so it's a pretty big process. And I hope you guys are enjoying this Porsche rebuild, because honestly, I love doing little rebuilds. You knock that thing out in a week and the car's gone, and it's another project completed. And it's really a good way not to get burned out, especially when working in a shop, is completing like smaller builds where you get them done, you get them out, you see the progress you made, and it kind of just builds up your mental state of mind. And then the next project is easier and easier and easier. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We always post awesome, cool updates before it hits the YouTube. Thanks for watching. All right, what's up?
You gotta promise me that you're gonna finish this thing. You're not gonna ruin it.
I'm already thinking about scrapping it.
Come on.
It's the comments, man. They're getting to my head again.
The comments are? Dude.
They're hating on me for no reason.
I think.
Like, I know.
No, I think you don't do all that extra stuff. I think you get this thing done, you get this thing driving, you restore it, get this whole engine bay done how you want it. But no freaking, what are you
We're doing a roll cage one day. No. Maybe later down the road.
I don't know. Drop a comment down below if you agree with Mark or Ben, honestly.
No, don't start a fighting war down there in the comments.
No.
It needs a roll cage. Why does it look so small though? That's crazy.
Because I know for a fact, if you start doing all that, you're gonna get burnt out and you're gonna trash it and you're gonna bin it.
Never.
Are you sure?
100%.
All right, but look at that thing. The thing's outside. We don't want it to end up with the other one that's outside. When we were getting this Mustang, you're like, I'm gonna restore it. I'm gonna make it look vintage. And now he's over here talking about roll cage, whiting, cutting it in half, throwing it in the garbage. We don't want none of that right now.
I didn't do any of that.
All right, it's all good. But the one thing is, we got a little sneak peek into a build that's coming in the near future, huh?
Yes, sir.
What is that? That's an S2000 motor?
Shh, onto the S2000. Maybe we put this S2000 motor into the Mustang.
Yeah, let's not do that. What are you about to go do?
I gotta go get some ski supplies because we going snowboarding.
You better post some photos on Instagram when you're out in Colorado.
No, I will.
Wait, who are you going with? Simon
And the Good
Billy?
Squad boys.
Let's go.
It's gonna be pretty fun. I mean, I've never went snow. I went skiing one time about 5 years
Don't tell
ago.
me you know how to ski. You
I know how to ski. You get on that ski and you just.
Boy, I got them framer legs. Boy's about to be going 100 miles per hour down
Oh
there.
yeah. Just hopefully I don't break my neck.